The note was shoved in his mouth. Sponsors have made it possible for Rotten Mango to support the Anti-Recidivism Coalition. The Anti-Recidivism Coalition is a Los Angeles-based nonprofit that aims to empower formerly and currently incarcerated people by providing a support network, housing and therapy services, and helping them to advocate for policy change. This episode of partnerships have also made it possible to support Rotten Mango's growing team of dedicated researchers and translators. I would also like to thank our listeners for your continued support and work for the event. Before we get into today's case, I do want to note that this episode contains very graphic descriptions of physical violence against minors, as well as very strong ambient. If these topics are very hard to listen to, take care of yourself, go surround yourself with all the people and things that you love, and we'll see you in the next one. There is a book on this case as well, a few books on this case, one of which is considered banned in a lot of places in Japan, but it is written by the killer. It goes into graphic detail of the crimes that he committed and his version of why he committed. We found a version of it online. Our Japanese researchers worked to translate it for us so we can bring you a deep dive into this. He wrote his own book on this case, and we're going to touch on the controversy surrounding that later. But because he wrote his own book, we will have a lot of detailed quotes from the killer, so that is the thing. Now, with that being said, let's get into it. If you want to play a game, you need a chair that everyone gets. That's how it works. The press wrote the game that they didn't even know what it was. The threatening letter that found stuffed into the severed head's mouth, it came with a signature. It read in big bold red letters. Simple, almost like this. So yeah. Read the kanji, so like the Japanese characters for Saito Sakachibara, and instead of the way that he did the killer, so the kanji contains other words, stated to the public that the story is Saito Onibara, which was his more common surname. Onibara is a more common name, which technically, the mispronunciation was due in part to the killer's fault. They never clarified how to pronounce his name, and it's not a normal Japanese surname. The press take the kanji, they pronounce it the way that they think would be best pronounced. It is what we call an honest mistake. This sentence, he said the letter was right, it resembled blood. It wasn't, but it was terrifying. He sent the letter to the newspaper where they right. You know that thing is the oblivion ridicule, don't you? Recently, while I happened to be watching TV, I heard a news anchor mispronounce my name as Onibara. I could have quietly enjoyed murder without anyone noticing if I wanted to. The reason I deliberately sought attention from society is that I want to be acknowledged as a really ignorant, as I have always been and will continue to be an invisible person. At the same time, I have not forgotten my duty to see prevention and education in the society that gave rise to this kind of education. However, like self-practice, maybe the only other invisible being that could have seen but valuable revenge into a game by incorporating murder, which is already your hobby. Your existence and your purpose make it a game. Change your hobby from murder to revenge. That way, you can create a new world that is unique to your appreciation for using anything more or less than that. Stated this murder game. However, even now, I don't understand why it's going to kill me. Only when I'm killing am I free from the secret that I'm harboring. Only the killing of others can alleviate my pain. In conclusion, I believe you roughly understood the text written on this paper. That's what I wrote existence. That ordinary Therefore, I cannot tolerate my name being mispronounced or my existence being tarnished. Observing the current movement of the police, it is apparent to me that despite inwardly finding it troublesome, they are deliberately procrastinating. Are they trying to erase my existence? I have lived my life in this state. If not, I will never continue. Therefore, while I won't think we should risk their lives, they should pursue me with more anger and more determination. Anyone who thinks so really is not really the children. I possess the ability to kill the same person twice. From now on, if you misread my name or spoil my mood, I will kill 3 vegetables. Big cells like the city of Kobe in Japan was on lockdown. I mean, there was a deranged killer on the loose. Everyone has the potential to be a suspect, to be a victim. The headlines were flashing on every single news in the city of Kobe. Every single big bold letters which read, manhunt underway for Kobe child killer. Kobe city on edge as child killer remains at large. Kobe schools on high alert and killer search intensified. What are the killers like vegetables? People are asking people, is he referring to children as vegetables or just like as a vegetable? Like, what does he mean? It's so stubborn. There's just rotten veggies. Both of I don't get it. Why did people like this? Is it because it's like strict pressure for trauma from that? The chief investigator said he had never seen anything like this before. What does that mean? After a few days, schools in Kobe had to reopen after incident. But even then, each school, it felt like the Pentagon. Heightened security and police presence around the perimeter. I mean, the gates would open exactly at 8 a.m. By that point, all the students are waiting outside by each standing next to their heavily protective parents. There is tension at every drop-off, every picnic. So much tension. The gates would open. The students quietly, nothing over, shuffle inside directly to their seats. There would be no roaming around. There would be no getting into light exercise around the schoolyard. They would go directly to their seats. The gate, which normally stays open, would be slammed shut, triple locked, and there would be a guard stand. Students would have emergency drill practices. They would drop math classes to take impromptu personal safety stranger danger classes. At 4 p.m., the school gates would be unlocked once more, and all the students would be ushered out to their parents who were just anxiously waiting for them. Parents would rush up to their child who's in uniform, snatch their hand, and beeline it directly home. No stopping by the playground, no stopping by in front of school. Immediately, we're going home. If kids, if kids were allowed to play at playgrounds, there was like a force field of parents surrounding them, just on pins and needles. You come back here. How many times did I tell you to stay inside? What did I? That's enough. We're going home. They would grab their kids' hands, rush them past all the newspaper stands, and they would read, Kobe residents live in fear as killer remains unidentified. If the police just had a general idea of who to look out for, a rough content sketch, I mean, that would have erased a lot of information for the residents. But all they had was a severed head, lengthy, terrifying, threatening notes that are reminiscent of the Zodiac killer in the U.S., and one singular witness. A man who was near the school gates before the head of the family stated that he saw something. It was so very strange. He said that they were behaving. He said, I think I saw the killer. He was carrying one of those bags on his left arm, and the other one. So even he's made fresh newspapers would hit the stands, all in big bold letters. Suspicious man holding classes down. But there were still 2 unanswered questions that would keep residents up at night, laying in bed. They're wondering, 1, who is this Bigfoot episode? And where's the rest of the boys' body?
Who's the boy?
If they know. They do know now. Yeah. Shinichiro, I'm gonna call him Shin. His eye twitch, and his hand reaches for his pocket. Even just knowing that the scissors are in his pocket, it's easy to let him decide. He started carrying weapons around with him since he was in elementary school, but now it's coming in handy. He wrote in his journal, I can ease my irritation and anxiety when I'm holding a survival knife, or I'm spinning scissors in my hand like an being a middle schooler in Kobe is not a great time right now. I mean, he's nervous. He rarely ever made Sheen nervous. He is the oldest son in the family. It is his job to this guy's family. He's got these two younger brothers, and every time there's a bug, he would be the one to kill it for his little brother. But he left a severed head on his school gate, impaled on a metal rod. He went to that middle school in his 3 years of being a student. Nothing like this had ever happened before. I think it's pretty much guaranteed in the world that it's gonna happen again. Like, it's like great thing. It's gonna destroy dreams that don't like school anymore. You can take the road travel to walking class. Don't vicious men in their 30s or 40s, and you're going to be fine. You're just fear-mongering you right now. He would be right, right? But he's not convinced by any of this because let's be real. How in the world do you avoid every 30 to 40-year-old rich man? How do you not know if it's the salary man buying rice balls next to you at the convenience store? Like, how do you know it's not the nice-looking guy walking his small dog at the park? He's taken to switch to the other side of the street whenever he passes someone who even slightly considers serving on the cooler. Not trying to take advantage. And there's like only one thing.
Chat, I'm getting jumped! I'm getting jumped, chat! Chat, I'm getting jumped! Oh, chat!
Very sweet with that, very delicate. He was never rough around them. He was watching one of his friend's parents in the shower, and he really liked doing that for people. His family was that for him. It was really sweet. Relaxing. She was trying to probably do it in the watch for the manga he was writing himself. And afterwards, he would let it dry off and totally the knots in his hair. Then he ran his own personal hair spa. Now, all I have to do is comb through all the things. You need to brush your hair more. Do you brush your hair at home? No. It's so painful. Just one. Oh. She does smile. His cheeks are so plump. His eyebrows are naturally thin. This translucent quality to it. You can feel the vein. He always had this slight it's always so sweet. Your kids at school, they think I'm going to make an angel. That's what all the teachers said. He sits in his friend's hair, and he picks his friend covered off the back. And he helps while he gets a chair and lifts up the ceiling is shut, and he can hide stuff in the ceiling. He gets on the chair and gently places the head in the ceiling. He's about to lower himself back into the bedroom, but he notices something on his back. He pokes his head back up, grabs the napkin from his pocket, and wipes off that thick white liquid from his friend's face. He's vinegar finger. There. What a pretty little reflection. Listening to the safe space was his grandma's vegetable garden. He would just stand in the vegetable garden, staring at the unharvested carrot leaves just poking out of the soil, and the tiny little plump tomatoes on the vine. I mean, too bad she was dead. He really missed her. Yeah, Grandma was his favorite. Shinichiro walked into the house from the garden, and he found himself in his grandma's house all the time. Like, he went there quite often, just going through her things, reading the little notes that she left behind, sitting on her bed, staring out the window, wondering, what would she be doing if she was still alive? Grandma was all he had. And boom, he falls to the ground, wakes up, there's tears dried on his face, his skin feels tight as if his face was covered in tears that were now dried. He had fallen to the floor of Grandma's room and passed out.
Basic
He
to max.
He slowly got up. He felt something very odd. He felt exhausted. He felt depleted. Like every soul, every energy in his body just exited. And he feels something moist or wet between his legs. He's like, oh my god, did I pee myself? Am I bleeding? He rushes to pull down his pants. And instead, he saw what he describes in the book as a white gelatinous material. He stared at it because this was his first time.
Nothing that
He looked
you
down
just made me with you.
shoulder massager that was
I
cruising
should see the trust and go bountiful.
He was moving around on the ground
But
like
death is just a hope and escape away. I cannot take. Need something for you to do. You're just a rabbit.